Latest in the battle to stop Sadiq Khan extending the controversial ULEZ scheme. And there's another setback for campaigners hoping to block the Mayor of London's plans. Khan says the decision to expand it across all London boroughs next Tuesday will reduce pollution, affecting 5 million people. Well, it's coming for heavy criticism from campaigners, but it's reported that any attempt by the government to overturn the expansion would fail in the courts. So drivers of vehicles that don't conform to the ULEZ rules have to pay £12.50 a day if they enter the zone. There's rather a lot to this story, and here to help unpick it is Conservative MP Jonathan Gullis. Jonathan, thank you very, very much. So people might think that maybe this should have gone to the court. Should the government have not put up more of a fight if they disagree with it that vehemently?
Look, Patrick, when you get legal advice, you're told about the probability of winning. I highly doubt that the government have been told that it would be illegal for them to take this to court. And let's not forget that Nigel Farage exposed the fact there's the Greater London Authority Act that says that if a policy is out of touch with national policy, which it is, no government at this moment in time is they are calling for ULEZ at any place to go anywhere across the country. This is the Mayor's own choice to expand ULEZ across Greater London, despite the fact that science says it will have zero to minimal impact on actually improving air quality. The fact that he lost a by-election in Uxbridge and South Ruislip, where people roundly rejected the ULEZ, where we've seen London boroughs take the Mayor to court, the government should now have the people's backs of Greater London and take Sadiq Khan to court to say that what he is doing is against what government policy would be and is an abuse of his power as far as I'm concerned, and ultimately will not actually improve air quality at all.
What would you say to people who say that any improvement on air quality whatsoever means that it's the right option to do? And also some people would say, when you look at certain opinion polls, Jonathan, people say they want to do something about the climate. Maybe this is that. What do you reckon?
Well, look, I've actually got my own petition in Stoke-on-Trent, because under the Labour-run Stoke-on-Trent City Council, I'm calling on them not to introduce a ULEZ at any stage at all. And sadly, the leader of Stoke-on-Trent City Council has refused to actually rule one out. All I'm waiting for is a simple statement saying it will never happen under her watch, and then she'll have my full backing in that. I know the government lost a court case to Client Turf, I think it was back in 2018, that meant local authorities like Stoke-on-Trent were made to introduce these clean air zones, which actually were temporary, and actually were also ridiculous. And why are they ridiculous? Because all they'll do is move traffic from one area to another area, which means that you'll have to have a clean air zone following around where you're displacing traffic extraordinarily and making air quality worse. Having a better public transport system with buses that actually run on time in places like Stoke-on-Trent and run with a fairer fare system so people can afford to use them. Having the infrastructure around being able to have a scrappage scheme where people can actually afford to scrap their older vehicles and get a more modern vehicle, a combustion engine still, that maybe has modern technologies within them to be able to use. To actually also have a system as well in place that means that we can look at how we can do stuff with our homes to help insulate them better, or to improve the quality of the windows in them so we don't lose as much heat. Yeah. Those type of schemes would have far bigger impact than this ridiculous and pathetic ULEZ scheme, which is purely a money-making scheme from the Mayor of London. And now he wants to hit Londoners even harder in the pocket by charging the Blackwall Tunnel and other the reason that are looking to be built as well.
Yeah, the reason why I try not to be that London-centric here on this show, for obvious reasons. I'm not originally from London, and London is just a bit of the UK, right? But sometimes it's hard because it's the capital city, it's where a lot of stuff happens. But I say time and time again that this ULEZ scheme is coming to a town and city near you. And you've emphasised that by, in Stoke, they're not ruling it out. And again, I think people don't like being taken for a ride. And if you look at some of the ways that things have been forced through here in London, debatable science behind it, as evidenced by the latest Imperial study that caused a lot of controversy because it didn't quite give the results that Sadiq Khan and his team wanted. That's according to reports. You also look at the fact that apparently cameras were ordered for ULEZ before the public consultation actually took place, which does give a strong indication that they'd already made their minds up. Then there was the, in my view, demonisation of people who said that they didn't want ULEZ, and bizarrely they were managed to be called far right, which is remarkable. I think the black nurse who was concerned about driving in from Bromley every single day was shocked to be called far right. And you look at it and you think, actually, is it a little bit underhand, all of this?
Oh, absolutely, and that's why the government has to, yes, take the legal advice on board, but the beautiful thing with the law is it's not black and white, otherwise we wouldn't have lawyers. So the government should still press ahead, in my opinion, and take this to court to show that at least it did everything it could to prevent this. And if the government does lose, then the public will then rightly say that this is now solely a decision of the Mayor Sadiq Khan. And as you said, you know, Angela Reagan, the deputy leader of the Labour Party, said ULEZ was coming to every town and city across our country. We saw in the by-election that suddenly, when Labour realised they were on the ropes, that Sir Keir Starmer said that ULEZ should be delayed and shouldn't be rushed in. Then he lost the by-election, is now apparently saying that he's against ULEZ altogether. But the man is such a U-turn artist that no one can ever trust what he says, because he can't stick to any promises he makes, let alone to his own party members. So why should the British public trust what he has to say as well? And like you say, the way Sadiq Khan has gone about this, demonising critics, silencing, I've seen from some newspaper reports, scientists who are critical of some of the work he was undertaking as well, to try and prove his case and fail to actually make the case for this. So you know, when you've had sound MPs like Gareth Bacon on your show and on other GBNews shows saying that as a Greater London MP, this is an abomination, we have to make sure we do everything we can. And then, as I say, if the government goes to court and loses, then at least the people of London will know the only option they have to stop this entirely is to vote for Susan Hall in the mayoral election next year.
All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. Jonathan Gullis there, Conservative MP. Look, Sadiq Khan is obviously very vocal on this. He says that it was a difficult decision for him, that he doesn't feel like he has any other option, and that whilst it's unpopular, he wants to do it to try to save lives and indeed the planet. We're there. Lots of disagreement over that. GB Views at gbnews.com.